Good morning, wonderful viewers. Welcome back to Medicato class. Today we'll be treating the laws of indices in mathematics. There are so many laws of indices, but in this video we are going to treat three laws of indices. The first law is going to be the product law. And you're also going to treat the quotient law or the division law. And the last one is power of a power law. So these are the three laws we are going to treat in this video. So the first law, which is the product law, says that when multiplying numbers with the same base, you keep the base and then add the powers. That is example. For product law, this is the formula for product law. A times A n equals to A m plus n. If you look here and I see that these are the same base, A and A are same base, then m and n are the powers. So the same base will keep the same base and add the powers, which is m plus n. Let's look at this example. Assuming I have 5 raised to power 2 times 5 raised to power 3. Using this formula now, this base and this base are the same thing. 5 and 5 are the same thing. So I'll keep the base, then I'll add this 2 and 3. That is 2 plus 3. It will now give me 5 raised to power 5. So this is all about product law, which is the number one law of this thing we are going to discuss today. So next is the quotient law. The quotient law states that when dividing numbers with the same basis, you keep the base and then subtract the powers. It's just an opposite of product law. Understand? That means its own formula should be A m over A n equals to A m minus n. So let me use an example to illustrate the quotient law again. Assuming I have 6 raised to power 2 over 6 raised to power, okay, let me let me put 6 raised to power 1 here. So using the formula, it will now be equals to 6, because 6 and 6 are the same base. It will now be 6 2 minus 1. Therefore 6, it will now be 6 raised to power 1. I don't know if you're understanding this illustration. Though after these three laws, we are going to solve an example that is going to cover the three laws together. So I'll wipe this aspect. Now I'll wipe this side. The power of a power law states that when a power is raised to another power, keep the base and multiply the powers. This one's formula is just it says that when this power, this is the power I'm talking about, multiplied by this power, you will keep this base and multiply the two powers. For example, now I have 2 raised to power 2 in bracket 3. I will keep this base and multiply this 2 by 3. It will now give me 2 raised to power 6. This is what they mean. So this is what they mean. So this is all about the three laws of indices that I'm going to be discussing in this topic. So now we are going to solve a question that is going to cover the 3 laws together. So I'll be wiping this. I'll be wiping this so that I can be able to solve. Now let me look for the question. It says 64 cube times 4 squared over 8 all over 4. And they ask us to simplify it to base 2 so that our answers should be in base 2. So in order to simplify it to be in base 2, I'm going to find the number that if I raise it to base 2, it's going to give me 64. You understand? You see that if you multiply 2 into 5 times, it will give you 32. If you check with your calculator, if you multiply 2 into 5 times, it will give you 32. So if you multiply 2 into 6 times, it will give you 64. That means 64 cube equals to 2 raised to power 6. 2 raised to power 6. Now 64 will be equals to, now the last law, which is product of power, which is power of a power law, the last like the third law, which is power of a power law, is now going to come in here, because 64, the 2 raised to power 6 is giving you 64. Then 64 will now be equals to 2 raised to power 6 in bracket, because I'm going to put this power here. This will not leave this power. Multiply by 3. You see now, by doing it like this, you already invited the power of a power law into this aspect, because you say that when the bases are the same, you should multiply the powers. Now the base is 1 here, then you are going to multiply the powers. So 6 times 3 will give us 18. So I will now have, therefore 2 will be raised to power 18. I don't know if you understand what I'm doing here. Then we will check for 4. 4 squared equals to, now 2 squared will give you 4. I have 2 squared here. I will now go again. 4 will be equals to 2 squared. I have 2 here. 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So I will now have 2 raised to power 4 in this aspect. Then I'll do for 8. So 2 raised to power 3 will give you 8. 2 raised to power 3 will give you 8. So that means 8 equals to 2 raised to power 3. 8 equals to 2 raised to power 3. So 3 times 4 will give you 12. So therefore my 2 is raised to power 12. Now we have simplified all of them to 2 base. This is 2 base, this is 2 base, this is 2 base. So now we have simplified it to 2 base. Now let's multiply and divide. So now this 64 cube we now change to 2 raised to power 18 multiply by this 4 square, we now change to 2 raised to power 4. 2 raised to power 4 over this 8 raised to power 4. We now change to 2 raised to power 12, because I've simplified everything. Now raised to 2 raised to power 12. Now you can see that all of them are now in 2 bases. They are now base 2, base 2, base 2. So we have simplified it to base 2. That means we have used the third law, which is power of a power law, to simplify them. Now let's do the remaining aspect. Now They told you that when numbers are multiplying and they are same base, that the numbers multiplying are the same base, you keep the base and add the powers. So this is multiplication aspect of this place. This is the multiplication, the first law, power law, power of a product, sorry, power of a product is the first law. So 2 and 2 is the same base. So what you do is that you will add these powers. 18 plus 4 will give you 22. So it will now be 2 raised to power 22 over 2 raised to power 12. Now, the law of quotient law, the quotient law, which is the second law, will now come in here, which is if you are dividing numbers with the same base, you will keep the base and subtract the powers. So 22 minus 12 will give us what? 22 minus 12 will give us 10. So our answer will be equals to 2 raised to power 10. You can like our video, follow, comment and share, and also follow us on YouTube. I'll be dropping the link on the comment section. Thank you.